everyone, or evening, depending on where you're at, and welcome to the new shop. So, we're gonna be doing a couple things in this video. The RX-7 is gonna be towed over here tomorrow morning. So we need to get the STI up on the lift. I want to pull off the timing components on the STI as well, just to check, to verify mechanical timing on that car is spot on, to eliminate the potential and the probability of our trigger issue being the timing setup. While we're in there, we are gonna remove the stock 12-tooth trigger wheel, and we're gonna put on the 36-1 trigger wheel onto that car once it comes in from Canada. It shipped out this morning, so I'm guessing it should be here in a couple of days. Before we do any of that though, I brought over some more stuff for the new shop that we need to set up. I got more stuff en route shipping here. So let's go ahead and just start assembling some stuff, putting some stuff away, cleaning up a little bit. I'm moving all the engine building stuff from the house to here also, just because this is now the main work facility. So got a rack to build, some stuff to put away. Mochi, quit licking the floor. Why are you licking the floor? What are you doing? Here, play with your bats. You wanna help me build a rack? Let's go build a rack. Are you that hungry that you're trying to find random pieces of crap on the floor? You just ate 2 bowls of food, okay? It's just locked up like that. You Gucci, girl. You Gucci. So this rack back here is going to be for engine building supplies as well as parts waiting to be installed. If we're doing like basic bolt-ons, they can go on the bottom 2 racks. Up here will just be like cranks, rods, pistons, bearings. I have enough to build 1 engine right now. Extra heads, things like that. That's what this rack is gonna be dedicated. This will become the engine building table. So if I need to build an engine, we got the vise here to put the crank in, everything like that. So pretty sick. I also kidnapped the extra light that I had at the house for this shop. And I think I'm gonna put one up there in the top left. I think I'm gonna put one more on the top right over there just to kill those shadows. And then maybe I'll buy one more to toss back here. So that way we just kind of have 4 extra lights illuminating everything in here. It's not like it's dark per se with like the shop lights off, but these other lights are pretty freaking bright. If I come up here and I just turn everything off, this is just with the 2 lights that I've installed in here, which adds like a nice good amount. So with the other lights, it just lights up everything perfect. Or up and just kind of out of the way. Lights are all hung up. I also went through, hung up the stuff from the old garage and this one. We have more banners coming, but shout out to our guys over at Techron. We're gonna be talking about them today because they are the sponsors of today's video, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. All the precise measuring tools now have a home in this toolbox back here for engine building, and they're not just kind of scattered around anymore. So bore gauges, stretch gauges, all that stuff is now put away. So sick. Now I wanna jump over to this thing. So let's figure out how to get it up on the lift. Is it pretty centered? I mean, I guess it's pretty centered in there. So we'll just get it up on the lift how it is. It is a little bit too low for these jack pads. So we are gonna have to toss on the spacers, get the rear end jacked up, probably jack up the front end a little bit, slide under the hoist, and then we can get this thing up in the air and start tearing it apart to see what the hell's going on. I do wanna say adding these 2 extra front lights up here definitely helped illuminate the engine bay, so that way we can see what the hell we're doing in this thing. So let's get it up in the air, let's get this thing figured out. I just wanna pull out all the old oil with all brake and lube and shit on it. Check clear. Stand by me. Good girl. Good boy. Mama, come here. Hey, don't go under there. Come here. Come here, look, it's just a lift. Here, I'm gonna give it a little shake. Oh, that's sturdy, it ain't going nowhere. That's sturdy, isn't it? Isn't that cool? And then our little RX-7 will just sit right under that. Dude, that's fucking sick. So, actually, you guys are gonna wait in there while I drain the oil out of this. So I actually went out to Harbor Freight and I bought one of these things to be able to drain oil I think I should put something in there like a rag to be able to catch stuff, and I probably will. So we got our drain right there. I want to get all the assembly lube and other crap out of here. We also need to remake a new return line for down here because this one doesn't have the heat shielding, and I have the heat shielding right here, so we're just gonna make a new return line for it. But we need to get off the intercooler piping. I have the new material here for the new intercooler piping, so we're gonna do that while we're doing everything else. But the main goal for right now is to get to the timing to double check to make sure that the car didn't jump timing or anything like that, to make sure that this engine position issue isn't mechanical. I did a quick look in the last shop, but I didn't want to tear into this thing too much until we were in here. So let's get the oil out of this thing, then we'll get the water out. I am gonna swap over to coolant also because water, it's coming up in wintertime, water will freeze. So now I feel like I need to buy a light for down here. Let's start with draining the water. We'll grab a flashlight so that way I can kind of see the oil as it comes out. Oh yeah, that's gross, that's break-in. That's like fresh oil break-in, filling this whole thing up. Oh my God. It's filling up the pan quicker than it's breathing. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Stick my finger in it. Yeah, it's like all the nasty break-in oil crap. Dude, look how just nasty that is coming out. It's just like grossness. It's just pure grossness. Very first oil change on built motor, there you go. Expect your oil to look dirt nasty, man. This is gross. I see a lot of like crap just coming out. So this has been going for probably about 25 minutes. I'm gonna let it keep going so that way I can see what filters through the paper towel and whatever's left over, just to make sure that we got a clean oil change on this first run. I need to go to Subaru tomorrow and pick up some more oil filters to be able to swap out the old one, but it's whatever. Well, that continues to drain. Let's go ahead and drain the water out of the system. So we'll come down here. I'll obviously bring the car down lower to the ground. We'll come down here, we'll pop out that drain plug right on the back side of the radiator, let all the water come out, and then we can actually start disassembling this thing to get to the timing stuff. All right, let that drain. Pop off the rad cap, but that's gonna make it fucking shoot everywhere, so I'll wait till it gets some out. So that way it has to displace the air through the same hole. Well, that's gonna take a little while to come out because it's a dual pass radiator, meaning the water goes both sides and then they both exit on the same side. So the drain's on this side, so that's gonna take a little bit to drain, but it is coming out. With the oil, I wanted to let this seep through this rag a little bit just to see what we're looking at. We do have some metal in there. There's some metal right there, a bigger piece right there. I'm not stressed about that. On a first oil change of a built motor, you're gonna see stuff like that. As you continue to do oil changes and as you continue to get more miles on the engine, that will dissipate over time. So while that drains, we're gonna start tearing all this apart. But before we do, I wanna talk to you guys about today's sponsor, our boys over at Techron. If you guys have been around the channel for a while, you know we've been working with Techron for quite some time. So today I'm gonna talk to you guys about their complete fuel system cleaner. Stuff's super easy to use. Fill up at the gas station, toss one bottle of this in, and you're good to go. Now what that stuff is gonna do is it's gonna help restore some lost miles per gallon that you may have had from your car from a dirty fuel system over time. If you've lost any horsepower, you feel like your car is down on power, this may help bring it back. You see, over time, when you get fuel at a lot of fuel stations, not all fuel stations keep clean underground fuel cells. So when you go to pump gas, you can get some of that dirty fuel and some of that contamination up into your fuel tank, which can then contaminate components of your car, such as fuel pumps, fuel level sensors, fuel hangers, fuel injectors, fuel filters, so on and so forth. Now that complete fuel system cleaner can help do a couple things. It can also help unstick some sticky fuel level sensors. Now if you're like me and you like to run E85 in a lot of cars, sometimes you gotta run pump gas to help clean out some of that E85. Now personally, whenever I swap from E85 back to pump gas, I will always throw one of these in because these do help fight corrosion. If you know E85, you know it can be very corrosive. It can also help with a rough idle and other issues if you are suffering from that as well. So once again, huge shout out to the guys over at Techron. There will be more information on this down below in the description. Now let's start tearing apart the STI to see if we can find our engine position issue. Some people think I like doing this. I enjoy tearing my car apart a million times. Fun fact for you, I don't. I just want it to work. everything really hurt. I think I found the source of the crank trigger issues. Now, I didn't want to mangle another crank sprocket, so mainly because those are discontinued, they're hard to find. So I kind of just left it as is and put it on there. And when we originally had the car running, it wasn't throwing this severe engine position code. But if you guys look, there's a set of rear teeth on this sprocket also. You can see the back teeth, the front teeth. The front teeth are what we want it to read. Now, this adapter is what I've been using to read it off the front teeth. It moves a little bit, but what I didn't take into account is the sprocket may move. It can move a small amount as the engine brakes, and I'm not saying it's gonna move a lot, but it moved enough, I think, to start picking up the rear teeth on the sprocket, because the sensor just barely, and I mean just barely, passes over where the rear teeth are. So instead of getting a consistent 12 evenly spaced readings, we're getting a continuous reading of a whole bunch of no gaps here, and then a ton of readings as it goes around, which would explain the oscilloscope reading of why it looks okay sometimes and then other times not at all, because it's going to look good on 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth, and then it's going to get mangled again on the rest of them. So I think that could be the solution or the problem. Now we have a 36-1 trigger coming, so this adapter we won't need anymore, so it'll just be sensor sitting in there. Well, we're going to be using a Hall effect sensor, but I might try it with the VR sensor to see if that works, because in the stock position on an EJ oil pump with an EG sprocket, the issue you run into is now the sensor only picks up the rear teeth. So if we eliminate this sprocket altogether and we go to the new one that's 36-1, all the teeth are going to be on the back side, so we don't need an adapter. We can just put that right there, and then there's no room for error for anything to move. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. So that shipped out from Canada yesterday, so that'll be down in a little bit. We got that from Nemesis Performance. So in the meantime, the other thing I want to do is swap out this whole convoluted oil feed system. We're just going to get rid of that TurboSmart oil pressure regulator. I don't like it. It's leaked too many times. But I just realized I don't have a 1/8 MPT to -4 AN for that side. I have them all at the house. It's okay. Like I said, I'm working on bringing everything over to this shop anyways, so not the end of the world, but this is what we're going to be swapping over to. There is a restrictor in there as well as a filter, so that'll catch anything going into the turbo. This, I've just had so many issues with this thing leaking all the time. Not worth keeping. WRX is warming up right now. There's not much else I can do on the STI up until we get that new crank sprocket in. I could, in theory, probably still continue to use that 12 trigger sprocket, but I think in the long run, the new 36-1 will just be a better option. So we'll be back over here tomorrow. The RX-7 is gonna be towed over, and it's just gonna live right under the STI in here. So I will catch you guys bright and early, because I got two puppos in the car who really wanna go home. Holy shit, I woke up in a fucking panic this morning because I got a text when I woke up at 6 that the tow company was dispatched already on their way here, and I hadn't gotten the car pushed out, I hadn't moved the other cars or got anything loaded up, so I was just full on panic. RX-7's pushed out, waiting on the tow truck to get here. I'm gonna start loading some of the RX-7 parts into the WRX, so that way when we get to the shop, it's kind of two birds, one stone. The car gets there as well as us with some of the RX-7 parts. This is sick! So we got the RX-7 over here and the STI. Both of those will be living here. WRX obviously the daily, so it'll come and go. So I have a ton of RX-7 parts in the WRX right now. I need to unload and get into the shop. So let me get all that unloaded. We'll get the STI put up in the air, get the RX-7 pushed back in, and then I need to go back to the house because little Mochi is sick, and Melanie's going to work, and I just don't want to leave her at the house alone because she's throwing up. So I'm gonna go babysit, edit this video. So let's go ahead and get everything unloaded, get that guy pushed in, and then we will wait for our new crank sprocket to come in for the STI so we can fix this issue. We've got both the STI and the RX-7 both now in the shop. I personally cannot wait till both of these are running. The STI should be running soon once the crank sprocket comes in. I'm gonna get some oil ordered today. I'll go down to Subaru, grab a new filter, pick up some coolant. That should be all that we need for that one. This one, I need to order a couple more things, finish wrapping it, get it tuned, and it should be good to go. That one already has a break-in tune on it, so we can just start driving that one around once it's good to go. But like I said, I need to get back to the house. We got a sick corgi. With that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. We're gonna keep going on some of the RX-7 stuff up until that crank sprocket comes in for the STI. So if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!